Well, the truth is out. Ebru economic analyst and Rutgers University professor of public policy, Bill Rodgers, joins us to share some revelations from a new 3-year study on family finances. Bill, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
So with all the rhetoric about recovery and recession, what really did the Federal Reserve's survey say about consumer finances? What really happened to America's finances?
Yeah, basically it showed us the jarring facts and figures that from 2007 to 2010, the recession in the first year of the recovery, that yes, we saw incomes or earnings, what people are taking away on their pay stubs, fell by 8%. But the bigger picture, the bigger number that they came up with or showed for American people out of the Survey of Consumer Finances, a household survey, that net wealth, that is the difference between assets and people's liabilities, fell by almost 40% in this 3-year period. 40%.
How surprising were these numbers to you?
I've been studying the recession and the recovery over the last few years, and unfortunately wasn't surprised. It just was another sort of example of just how harsh or how difficult or how unique and unprecedented the Great Recession was in terms of its effects on families.
So what was it? I'm sorry.
Not to interrupt, but we hear politicians talk about class warfare, but in this case, you said this was across the board recession.
Yes, for the most part, you saw when you look across the income scale or across the net worth scale from low to high, everybody took a hit. Unfortunately, it was bigger at the middle part of the income scale. And why is the conversation about net wealth so important? Well, income from what you get on your pay, right? That's what you're receiving month to month or week to week, right? But wealth is that amount of income, actually income that goes into investments that then allows you to invest in a small business. It allows you to invest in education for your child. It allows you to weather the storm of a job loss. Wealth, as Chris Rock likes to say, right, it does not get destroyed, right? It gets passed on from generation to generation to generation.
Right. So what really, though, was the root of the cause? I mean, it couldn't have just been the stock market. It couldn't have just been home prices, going down a spiral. It had to be a combination of things. Yeah,
it was a combination. You saw a drop in the value of people's financial assets, so stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and also the amount people hold them. But the big driver in this is the housing market. That you saw about a third or 30% drop in housing prices over this period of time, and that's the price effect that economists like to focus on. But there was also the quantity effect, and that is the number of people or the share of the population that own homes. Right. So you saw the sort of price effect, the value drop. I think many of us, we've seen it, and then you also saw the foreclosure crisis in Nevada, California, Arizona, Florida, and other places too that really pulled back.
Amazing though that our property taxes don't go down when our value of our house goes down.
Right. It certainly speaks to the problems that working class communities and predominantly Black and Hispanic families who drop so much of their personal net worth into their homes. That's right. And then the value of the home drops, and now they've lost so much, whereas upper income or perhaps better educated communities are spreading their investments into other areas, and so they can absorb that hit a little easier.
Most definitely. Yeah, for the typical American household or typical American family, the home ownership over your lifetime is the most important, or be the largest asset that people will hold. And as you said, Brian, there are these disparate impacts or differences across race and ethnicity and age and even gender, to where just for example, the sort of non-white to white ratio of net wealth. Basically, whites have about 6 times the wealth of non-whites, and so when you have this recession, right, when you lose your job or you get cut to part-time work or part-year work, and you're also in a job where your earnings have been stagnating and haven't been keeping up with inflation, right? When you start off that race, right, further back.
It's worse.
It's much worse. Yeah, right? You don't have that cushion to weather the storm.
So perhaps the lesson maybe then is for those working class folks to begin to diversify their investments and not put so much into just the house.
Right. Well, there are.
If
I'm
you
not
can.
a. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
you
the
might not
other.
be able
Yeah.
to.
I mean, there are. I'm not a financial advisor, but there are. But there are some rules of thumb that I know with my work with United Way and kind of build and promote financial stability. Right? We argue there, tell people you don't want your income, monthly income, to be, I think, above like 30% of. I'm sorry. We don't want your mortgage to be above 30% of your monthly income. Otherwise, you start to get in that unstable stable framework.
Absolutely.
And we also do talk about trying to provide services to moderate and low-income families to help them identify other ways to diversify in terms of maintaining that financial stability. So yes, investment 101, diversify, diversify, diversify. Very important.
So what do you think about the political fallout of this? I mean, upcoming big presidential election, how is this going to impact both sides?
Well, I think on one hand, with terms of President Obama, it was I think some tough medicine, right, or a tough report to swallow, and it further damaged, I think, his prospects. But then I think you could also look at it the other way too, is that I think he can come back and say, well, hey, we didn't do as much as we should have done. Right? These numbers show how severe, right, this recession was and how slow this recovery was. And so, the attempts with the Troubled Asset Relief Program, Dodd-Frank, and the Consumer Protection Act, which are all about improving transparency and providing information, that we have to do more for not only Wall Street but also Main Street.
Well, I saw some good news on my iPhone just a little while ago that there are signs that prices for homes are going up and sales are increasing.
That's right.
So that's good news.
Yeah. I mean, this usually I don't report on, let's say, what we call old data. This is up to 2010, but because of the nature of what we found in the wealth numbers and those potential long-term effects that we're going to have, I thought it was important to share with you all today.
Great. Well, Bill, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks.